Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. I'm really excited to be online with you and talk about our favorite topic, which is work camping. I'm Jody Anderson Duquette. I'm one of the co-owners and executive director of Workcamper News, and I'm here today to answer your questions about work camping. So we're going to be doing these live webinars every month for this year, and those of you who registered ahead of time for our webinar, you were able to submit questions when you registered. And so we had lots of great questions come in. It's very likely that those questions will fill up our hour today. But those of you who are online live with us, thank you for being live with us. But feel free to type in questions or comments or any thoughts that you have while we go through the previously submitted questions. So if you are attending live, if you're on a smartphone or tablet, you guys should be seeing my video on your screen right now. If you do a swipe, you will then be able to see my little PowerPoint presentation that I put together that's just going to list our questions. And at the bottom of your screen, you should have a menu item for questions or chat. So you can tap on that to then type in anything that you want to say during the webinar. So if you're on a desktop or laptop computer, you should have a little more function. You probably see the video and PowerPoint at the same time, and you'll have a control panel there on your screen, which should have a questions or chat section where you can type in anything. So feel free to do a little interaction during the webinar if you are live with us. But again, like I said, great questions came in ahead of time, so we'll definitely be going through those. Many folks had the same types of questions, so I did kind of, change some of the questions or group them together since some of you guys were like asking the same things but in different ways. So just to continue on, again, I'm Jody Anderson Duquette. I've been here at Workcamper News for I think 16 years now. My family purchased Workcamper News from the original creators many moons ago now, and we've been having fun helping work campers and the businesses that hire work campers ever since. If you're not familiar with Workcamper News, we created the term work camper, work camping. So we're the originators of the community, of the industry. We've been here since the beginning. So we have a wealth of information on our website and resources. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick over to our next slide here. So just to, again, if you're not familiar, workcamper.com is our website. And we have the most robust resources and job listings that you'll find anywhere for work camping. So we're not hobbyists, we're a professional business. We're supported by both work campers and employers as well. And we have a support team here, so we're happy to answer your questions. You're welcome to contact us, whether you're a member or not a member. Of course, we hope you'll become a member. There's lots of resources out there now to help you learn about work camping and be a work camper. But if you want to have it be much easier and simpler and be more successful, then becoming a member is going to get you there. So if you haven't yet, please visit our website. We do have a free trial of our diamond level membership that you can check out, so you can try it out. But otherwise, we are a yearly membership organization for our work campers. But when we do list our job listings on our hotline, it's super cool. We got links to employer reviews right there with the help wanted ads. You can easily build a work camping resume in our system, and it's secure. It's not open and posted to the open internet like on other free websites. So we'll get into a little bit more specifics later as we're going through some of the questions, but that's just sort of a little introduction as to who Workcamper News is and how hopefully we'll help you with your work camping lifestyle. I'm sure many of you joining us are in, kind of different phases. Perhaps some of you are just discovering work camping and trying to figure out if it's right for you. Some of you are maybe new, perhaps experienced work campers. So hopefully as we go through these questions, you'll maybe learn something you hadn't thought of before, or be introduced to some questions that as a newbie, you're like, oh, good, I hadn't thought to ask that yet. So, all right, so let's dive in. All right, so multiple questions submitted. How do I find a job? How do I go about this work camping thing? And again, just to preface, work camping is doing any kind of part-time or full-time work while living in an RV. So this really, can be a lot of different things. So don't pigeonhole yourself into thinking work camping is just working at a campground, or work camping, it's only work camping if I'm provided an RV site as part of my compensation. It super varies out there. Lots of opportunities to meet the variety of needs of the work campers. So hopefully you'll be able to find something that will match what you're looking for. So to go about finding the jobs, it's up to you kind of how you want to go about it. So some work campers know they want to be in a specific location, so they'll just start cold contacting businesses in that location that they want to be in. Whether it be campgrounds and RV parks or businesses around that location they want to be in. And that might work for some folks. There's some resources online. Some folks like to join work camping Facebook groups and look for ads there. But with the Facebook groups, I mean, it's a free social media platform. So anyone can create profiles and things on Facebook and post stuff on social media. The admins in the groups, do their best to keep out spammers, but whenever you're utilizing a resource that's open to the internet, it does open you up for scammers, spammers, that kind of thing. So if you do solely just use free online resources for work camping jobs and connections, be sure to do your diligence very thoroughly when researching those opportunities. Make sure it's a legitimate business. Don't share any of your information until you know it's for real and they're real people that you're talking to, not someone trying to just, steal your information. So you just want to make sure you thoroughly review those. And like with the Facebook groups, there are employers that utilize it. You don't know what employers are using which groups. There's so many groups now. Do I need to join all of them and search through all of them? And the search functions within the groups are really hard to use. You might search on Montana, but then all the posts you get are like someone who's like, I'm in Montana and I went to this campground and it was really nice, or I'm looking for a job in Montana. Like, it's not like you're just gonna see job postings for Montana. So social media groups can be helpful, but I would maybe just kind of use them as just another resource, another, arrow in your quiver, as we can say. And that goes for the other hobbyist websites that are out there about work camping. Typically those websites have like tracker banners and pop-ups and things like that. So be really careful when you're navigating those websites not to click on those kinds of things, because that could end up taking you off on some other paths or tangents that you didn't mean to get into. So, and also on those free sites and on social media, again, just be cautious about the information that you're sharing about yourself. If you want to put yourself out there and say, I'm Joe Smith and I'm super awesome, I'm looking for a job, just, kind of hold back your contact information and some specifics maybe about where you are, things like that, until you're further in the process of communicating with an employer and you're sure that it's, a legitimate employer, legitimate person that you're talking to. So just, again, words of caution, just in sharing your information, because you don't know who's lurking out there. So, but like I said, if you want to make it easier on yourself, become a member of Workcamper.com. So when you're a member of Workcamper.com, it becomes a lot easier. So what you can do, you can review job listings yourself, and you can be proactive in going you can review the job listings yourself, then you're contacting the employers about their jobs, or you put yourself out there and then the employers come to you. So those are kind of the two different paths there. So when you're a WorkCamper News member, you can get our daily hotline jobs email. We send out an email each weekday, and in that email is the full job listings, the new listings that came in that day. And there'll be anywhere between 2 to 40 job listings a day. We get all kinds of them coming in all the time, and it varies day by day. So you'll have the full job listing, the full text, contact information, everything that the employer provides will be in that email. We don't force you to hop over to a website and then try to find and search the ad once you're on a website. It's all right there in the hotline jobs email. So you can get that each day with all the job listings, or if you are looking for a specific state, maybe you really want to be in Colorado, Florida, something like that, we have what are called job alerts. So you can turn on job alerts for just the states that you're interested in. So instead of going through that email at the end of the day with all of the job listings, You can get the job alerts, so if you just want to see jobs for Colorado, we'll just email you those jobs for Colorado. So as soon as a new Colorado ad is posted, that ad is going to be emailed to you as well. You don't have to wait to the end of the day for the compilation email. It's going to come immediately to your inbox. So you can pick the different states that you're interested in, change up those states at any time. So we're going to customize those job listings. And again, those are being delivered right to your inbox. You don't have to bounce around and search through any websites to try and find them. But you can, on our Hotline Jobs website page, search through all of the job listings that came in within the last 14 days. So that's a great point too with our Hotline Jobs page. Again, the last 14 days of ads. So it's no question as to whether, how old is this ad? Was it posted a year ago, a month ago, how long ago? It's been within the last 14 days. So you know the ads in that page are the most recent that are available for work campers. And you can sort by state, sort by date, do keyword searching, etc. on that Hotline Jobs page. And wait, there's more. We also, and maybe what many of you know us for, is our bi-monthly magazine. We do still publish, we physically print and mail out our magazine, but we also have it on our website. So each issue that comes out, the majority of the magazine is Workcamper job listings organized by state. So when you're at workcamper.com, you can go to our online magazine section. There's over 90 issues of our magazine in there. It's the biggest Workcamper job archive that you'll find anywhere. So you can open an issue, click to page 3. If you're looking for a specific state, you'll go up. Montana starts on page 45, and then you can jump right to page 45 to look at the job listings there. And when you're viewing that PDF issue, it's keyword searchable as well. So if you're looking for something specific, you'll be able to kind of narrow down your results. So you can be proactive, review those job listings, contact the employer that way, or get your resume created. We have a very simple step-by-step builder tool. It takes you through, you just fill in the fields, and this will help you create your resume geared towards work camping. So if you're like, oh, I haven't done a resume before, what am I supposed to do? It's going to walk you through it and help you with providing the information that employers want to see. There is a sell yourself section where you can type in stuff about yourself and list your skills, maybe some of your references, things like that. But don't worry, there is a sample that you can model off of right there as well. There's the option to upload photos too, if you would like to include photos on your resume. Now, once you've created your resume, it will be available in our resume database that our employer members can search. And now I mentioned that it's secure. So what that means is the employers that do have access to our resume database, they have paid for an employer membership, and that's the only way they can get access to that resume database. So not many spammers, scammers, whoever are going to pay in order to then try to steal people's information. So you can feel better about sharing your information when building your resume at workcamper.com, because only those employer members are going to be able to see it. So employers will be able to pull up your resume in the database as they're doing their searches, and they may contact you with their jobs. Also, you can send out your resume if you want to. So there's the ability to email it out, you can print it out, or you can export it to a PDF version, because you may be applying with an employer who has an online application process that would allow you to upload your resume. So definitely some great features there. So check out the resume builder. It's definitely super helpful. The resume builder is available to our diamond and platinum level members. We do have 3 different membership levels. Our gold level is $19.95 per year. That's geared more towards the folks who are just looking for education. You want to be a work camper, now you're ready to learn all about it. That level is for you. Our diamond level, it's $47 per year, and it provides the resume builder, current access to all the job listings, immediate access to all the job listings, as well as a bunch of other stuff that I won't get into yet. That's great for folks who are just getting started in work camping or are brand new to work camping. If you're an experienced work camper, you may want to go with our platinum level. That's $67 per year. With that, in the resume builder tool, when you add your work camping history, like the jobs you've completed to your work history on your resume, you can then request to have Work Camper News verify that work history reference. So we will contact the employer and say, did Jane Doe work for you this date to this date? Yes, okay, great. We're gonna mark that as a verified work history on your resume. So now, how awesome do you think you're gonna look to those employers that you're sending your resume to or that are finding you in the database? You're getting rid of some of the legwork for that employer because you're already verifying, look how awesome and look at my experience so far. And our employers have the option to just search and view resumes that have verified work experience. So again, that platinum level is kind of for the more experienced work camper with a few jobs under their belt. So, all right, and I burrowed into that because someone asked that question about what our membership level cost was. So back to finding a job, again, putting yourself out there. And the more proactive you are, the more active you are in this job finding process, the more success you guys are going to have, okay? So you can also do what are called situation wanted ads. So in our system, that's an online ad, or you can also do a print ad in each issue of our magazine. And that's just, you know, you again, just kind of jumping up and down saying, hey, you know, we're a super awesome family and we're traveling in our RV and we want to be in Maine for the summer, looking for a paid job with full hookups, ready to start in April. Contact us, check out our resume, just kind of something simple and fun like that. And so you can utilize the online and the print just to further get attention coming to yourself. And like I said, you can do that in the Facebook groups and whatnot too. I'm not sure how successful it is utilizing those free avenues, but I do see work campers doing that pretty frequently. So again, just getting out there, connecting with employers, even just networking. So something that's, and this kind of answers a question down the road, but as a new work camper, you may want to consider work camping jobs that have more work campers coming to them. So larger operations that just hire a larger number of work campers. You're then going to be immersed in a community of more work campers that you can then network with. That's a great way to find jobs as well. Just getting to know other work campers and hearing about their experiences and what they liked. It's you know, another great way to get connected to some awesome opportunities that are out there. All right, so we hit on that one pretty good. So let's get into some other questions here. All right, you guys. So this question came in, how can I find a specific position like working in an RV park office? And so that's just a matter of searching and narrowing things down. So like I said, with WorkCamper.com on our hotline jobs page or in issues of our online magazine, you can do keyword searches. So it's just a matter of plugging in that information and going through the ads. And it's, unfortunately, it's not an exact science. Employers are able to submit whatever they want for their ad text, whether it be in WorkCamper.com or somewhere else on the internet. The employers write their ads, and some are really good at it, and some are maybe not as successful at it. So some ads will leave you like, with a lot of questions. You're just like, I need more information. Where some ads will really lay things out pretty well for you. So it may be a little frustrating at times. So don't be afraid to communicate with employers. If even a little bit of what they're saying sounds like it meets your wants and needs, then definitely communicate with that employer so you can get more information to further your investigation and finding out if it's going to be right for you. And in thinking about the selling yourself side, when you are creating your resume in WorkCamper News using our resume builder, one of the sections you do select at least the types of businesses that you're interested in working for. So you can select, you know, if you are open to commercial RV parks, fulfillment centers, amusement parks, just different things like that, you'll make those selections there on your resume. And then you can specify even more in that sell you section, kind of what your objectives are, the types of positions that you're seeking. And then in your resume, you'll want to try to tailor it, you know, when listing your skills, abilities, experiences, definitely try to highlight what you have that applies to the position that you're going for, okay? All right, next up here, And I see this question a lot from work campers, solos out there. And I think too, maybe utilizing some of the free services, you see more positions seeking couples, but from our experience here at Workcamper News, and again, not every employer spells it out in their ad text. So we're not sure exactly which employers consider solos and which don't. We just go based on their ad text as well. But based on the ad text that does come through, well over 65% of employers consider solos for their operation. So especially if you can get out of the commercial RV park realm, or even just kind of campgrounds in general, that opens things up a little more too. So the entities that do seek couples, they're just looking to get 2 workers out of one RV site. So if they're a campground or RV park operation, you know, those RV sites are how they make their money typically. And so if they need to use 10 RV sites for their work campers instead of just 5, that's 5 RV sites they pulled out of their rental pool that they now have to use for work campers instead of, you know, earning the income on. So it's, you know, it's not an awesome situation, but that's just business. That's just how it goes. And then some operations, for example, like the concessionaires that operate within the national parks, they can only lease so many RV sites from the National Park Service. So they're just limited to the number of RV sites that they have. And they know they need a certain number of people to operate the general stores within Yellowstone, perhaps. And so they have to, you know, kind of keep a balance of how many solos versus, you know, 2 or 3 party households they can have, just to make sure they have enough people for operating and making sure everybody is still housed as well. So for solos, I just have a positive attitude. I think, like, just being bluntly honest, the solos that are out there, they're woe is me, no one's gonna hire me, all work campers just want couples, boo-hoo. That's just not the right attitude, and that's not gonna help you get further. So, you know, try to be positive, know what you want, what your budget is, what your wants, your needs are, etc. Go through those job listings, make contacts with employers. Even maybe it does say couples in the ad or something. If everything is a match, go ahead and communicate with them anyway. Just be like, hey, you know, I found your ad and it says you're interested in couples, but, you know, just in case you do have a position available, please consider me. I know I would do an amazing job in, you know, your X position because I have this experience and I'm really excited and would be interested in talking more with you. It can't hurt. The worst they can say is no. So again, it might be a little more work for solos, especially if you're looking for kind of that more needle in a haystack job. You know, I want a paid job in Florida on the coast for the winter, and I want my RV site included. Like, those jobs are kind of a small number available anyway. So there's more jobs than there are work campers right now, but knowing it just depends. Every work camper is different, needs different compensation and stuff. So it might be more difficult for you to find a position if you are, you know, needing something very specific or needing quite a bit of compensation, where if you have a little more freedom with your budget, that's going to open things up for you as well. So, you know, solos are very successful at this lifestyle when they, you know, put some effort into it and get some experience under your belt. So please don't get discouraged. Please just keep trying and putting yourself out there and have a positive attitude, be flexible, and I think you'll find some success. If you check out, we've done 2 issues of our magazine specifically featuring solo work camping. So you'll find some articles from solo work campers. And then the job listings themselves, the employers that told us, hey, we do consider solos, we colored the ad text blue instead of black. So you can check out those issues. I believe it's the November-December 2020 issue was the most recent one. We'll likely do one again this year with a similar premise. So definitely check those out. You can also listen to our podcast. We do a weekly podcast. It's called The Work Camper Show, and you can find that at workcampershow.com, or if you just search Workcamper Show in whatever your favorite podcast streaming app is, you should be able to find our podcast. And we've talked to many awesome solo work campers. So just scroll through the episodes, lots of great episodes in there. We interview work campers and talk about work camping and RVing. We interview employers and have them give us the details on their jobs, and then just some others in the RV lifestyle as well. So check out that podcast, totally free to listen to as you're driving down the road, and or any exercising, anytime you like listening to the podcast, give the Workcamper Show a try. All right, next up. Okay, very good question. How soon in advance should I begin applying for work camping jobs? So again, this just comes back to this job finding thing. It's you got to kind of create a system, and it might feel a little bit like work sometime, but hopefully you will end up finding the right job for you, so you'll be like, yeah, I did it. Okay, so most work campers like to plan ahead. I think RVers in general are just planners most of the time. So you guys know, I want to go here next year for the summer and then there for the winter, or maybe you want to go somewhere year round, and that's great. So typically employers will begin recruiting 3 to 6 months before the start date of their positions. So if you are maybe 6 to 10 months out, that's the time I would start, spending a few hours here and there, getting your resume going, really start fine-tooth combing through those job listings and start, saving some that you want to be contacting. When it comes to the summer season, because typically, all right, most work camping jobs are in the outdoor hospitality industry. So that means there are more opportunities available in the summer, since there's way more stuff open in the summer months versus the winter months. So typically the summer season position is like April, May through September, October. And there are a lot of employers that hire for that whole summer season. There are short-term opportunities too. If you're like, I don't want to be somewhere for that long, that's too long. No worries, there's other opportunities that are a month, 2 months, 3 months, shorter term. You're probably not going to find anything that's like a week here, a week there. That I really haven't seen that in the work camping realm. The minimum is probably going to be a month. One exception might be the sugar beet harvest, which takes place in the fall. That at minimum could be a 2-week job. It depends on the weather, how long that job goes. But typically we're looking at 3 to 6 months for the term of a job. So if a work camper employer is wanting you to start for their summer season per se, you're going to be starting probably in April or May. They're going to be in their recruiting as early as September, October before that. Some employers will start putting ads out there in the fall, winter before, but won't start contacting people until like January, February. So you might be, sending out some emails, trying to make some connections pretty early on, and just feel frustrated because you're not getting responses back from those employers. And we hammer on the employers. We're like, please contact anyone who contacts you, just to let them know you receive their communication and give them some idea of when you can talk to them. But they're not all great at doing that. Some employers are, maybe they have an HR staff that's able to be dedicated to the hiring, where some employers, it's one owner and they're wearing all the hats in the business. They're doing the recruiting and the bookkeeping and the advertising and the management and the cleaning and the. So, sometimes you got to give them a little bit of grace in getting back to you, okay? So anyway, so 3 to 6 months before the start date, I would definitely start, making those connections and just getting things going, okay? And question here, how do you get the email address of the hiring person? So anytime you're, when you review the job listings, at least at workcamper.com, we require the employers to put their contact information in the ad. So the employer will state how they want you to contact them. So they may say, email your resume to this place, or they may take you to a website and have you apply on their website. They may just have a phone number that you can call or text to communicate. Or they may have all of those things, and you could try emailing first. If you don't hear back within, 5 to 7 business days, maybe you give them a call. Hey, employer, I sent my resume the other day. Super interested in talking to you about your opportunities. Just wanted to see if you received my email. Because email is certainly not infallible, guys. Stuff ends up in spam or the internet tube somewhere. So sometimes they just don't get your emails. So it's important to follow up with those employers, especially if it's an opportunity that you're super interested in. So the employer will tell you usually how they want you to communicate with them as far as applying for their jobs. Okay, is there a place that shows employers by state where work campers can send resumes? So when you're utilizing workcamper.com, like I said, on that hotline jobs page, when you go to the hotline jobs page, by default, it's just going to show you the newest ads first. But along the top of the page are the states that the ads are for. So you can click on Arizona to see just the ads that are for Arizona, click on Alaska just to see Alaska, etc. Then in the online magazine, or you can get the version in the mail as well if you would like, but the ads in the magazine are also organized by state alphabetically. So super easy that way. Okay, what kind of RV do I need to be a work camper? And the short answer to this question is whatever RV is best for you. You don't have to have anything specific. There are a couple exceptions to that, like there might be a motor coach only RV resort, where that RV resort specifically is literally just for motorhomes. They don't accept any kind of towables. So that might be an instance where you'll have to have a motorhome. Some places may have restrictions on length. So you may want to consider that, big rigs, you may have a little bit harder of a time if you're like 40 to 45 feet. You might be a smidge more limited, but there's something to that. Like, for example, before we talked about the concessionaires in national parks. So if you just go to Yellowstone, like as a regular camper, I'm going camping in a national park campground, those RV sites are usually a lot more shorter, and typically you got to be 30 foot or less to get into some of these campgrounds, national parks, some Forest Service, etc. Just because the campgrounds were made so long ago before RVs became ginormous, the sites are just smaller. So like as a camping guest with 30 foot or more, you may not fit, but the RV sites that have been created for the work campers that the concessionaires are able to lease, those can accommodate big rigs. So if you are a 40 footer, to be able to spend the summer in Yellowstone, you might have to be a work camper. And then you're going to get paid and have your RV site, and hey, that's pretty cool. So again, getting back to the question here, you need to select whatever RV is right for, what you're comfortable with as far as driving it, managing it, maintaining it, etc. What works for your budget, okay? Don't think you need to go buy something super expensive in order to do this. What's your budget? Purchase within your budget. That's going to save you a lot of stress down the road, okay? If you are considering work camping, like maybe you're utilizing an SUV or a truck, or and then you want to do like a tent maybe to kind of add on to your square footage, that may limit you a little bit. There are employers that want you to come in something that is self-contained and hard-sided, and they want you to be comfortable. They need you to be able to be safe, comfortable, warm, and happy, whether it's raining outside, whether the wind is blowing, maybe it's snowing, maybe it's super, super hot. Maybe there's bears and buffalo and wolves and all kinds of wildlife around. They need you to be safe and secure. And some locations won't have shower houses, bath houses, laundry rooms, kitchens available for you to use. So they'll expect you to be bringing all of those facilities with you so you can do things like, clean and cook and, just kind of maintain your general life. So if you are, tenting or doing a pop-up, That may limit things a little bit for you. There are some employers that provide housing, and that might be dormitory style, or maybe there's a park model cabin or even rental RVs on the property. There are a few instances of that. It's not super prevalent though. So yeah, again, just pick the RV that is going to work best for you and your needs, okay? And then you'll be able to find a job then that will work for you. Okay, another question here. COVID's impact on work camping jobs and what PPE is provided. So first part of that question, the work camping industry has gone similarly to kind of just how I guess the normal job market has been. There's, a lot of employers that have struggled to find the number of staff that they need. What we saw with the work camping community when COVID was going on, there are some folks that decided to, stay home if they were part-timers and not travel as much in their RV, but the majority of folks kept on moving forward and didn't let the pandemic, change their life, slow down their life, etc. Whatever they chose was the right path for them, and that's great. But like I said before, there are seemingly more jobs than there are work campers taking the jobs. So unless you're kind of, like I said, looking for that primo job that provides beaucoup compensation or is a super specific location, you're very likely going to be able to find something that will work for you. And remember too, these jobs are typically short term. Many employers will welcome you if you do go find a work camping job and you love it and it's the best thing ever and you never want to leave. They'll probably love that and let you just stay as long as you want to. But a lot of work campers get into work camping so they can visit the different parts of the country or go see different things, go see family and friends all around the country, and they want to keep moving. So again, these are short-term positions. There's typically an end date. And a lot of us can, handle most things for maybe 3 or 4 or 6 months. So just keep that in mind. What PPE is provided? That's going to vary by the employer. So if that's something that is of concern, just be sure to have that as one of your questions when you're interviewing and communicating with an employer about their opportunities. All righty. Okay, do I need prior experience or special training? Typically, no. For the most part, no. Most employers are just looking for folks who are upbeat, have a positive attitude, and willing to get in there and get the job done. So if you've never ran an RV park office before or never done, serving in a restaurant or ran a cash register or been a tour guide at a historical site, that's okay. If you're someone, maybe you love history and have read, a bunch of history books on something, or you grew up on your family farm and know a lot about farming and really enjoyed that when you were younger, that molds really well into maybe working at a historical society that is like an old farm homestead, and like children's groups come in and get to talk with the historical reenactors about, how it was in the old days of farming and stuff like that. Like maybe that's your jam. So you might have some hobbies or interests or things that you did in your pre-work camping life that will apply to work camping positions, even if it wasn't, I worked this specific job. So think about what you did, whether it was in your career, in your home life, in your personal life. If you, managed your household and kept up your house or property, you managed your kids and got them all organized. Maybe you were part of a parent-teacher group or organized things at church or led a Girl Scout troop, coached your son's baseball team. There's probably things you've done in your life that gave you skills, whether it's customer service, leadership, money handling, organization, using a computer, things like that. those are skills that can apply to the different work camping positions that are out there. So don't limit yourself to thinking whatever I did in my 9-to-5 career are the only skills that I have. That's not true. There's likely a lot more things that you can do. And most of the employers are willing to train you. You know, they're going to understand that they need to show you how they want things done. Even if you've worked at RV parks or campgrounds before, things may be done differently at XYZ campground than they were done at ABC campground. So even if you have the experience, it may not be exactly how you're supposed to do things at the next place. So they know they're going to need to kind of train you and instruct you anyway. So don't get held up or too nervous about it. Again, just being open, flexible, upbeat, and know yourself too when considering these work camping positions. If you're someone who's really not a big fan with social interaction and having to chit chat with people, don't apply for customer service jobs. You know, you probably shouldn't be a server at a restaurant or working in the campground office, etc. You know, you want to look more towards maybe like the maintenance positions, or doing maybe like trail cleanup, or maybe working at like a animal shelter, or, you know, doing like a gate guard job in Texas where you're just checking people coming and going. They're not there to chit chat, they're just there to come and go and do a job. So again, lots of opportunities out there that can kind of meet your different personality types as well as your budgets and location needs too. All right, next up, when do we show up for a work camping job? That's going to depend on the job itself. So what you should do, you know, you're going to be reviewing the job listings, putting yourself out there so those employers are coming to you. You want to make sure you're interviewing that employer just as they are interviewing you. And if they're not willing to give you the time to answer all the questions that you have, etc., then I would caution you about accepting that position, because if you don't have all the information, you don't know what all the expectations are, there's a higher possibility that things aren't going to go as you hope they will. So hopefully that employer is open to communicating with you. So you're going to have kind of a list of interview questions. Hopefully you can do a phone call or maybe like a FaceTime or web chat, something like that, and you'll be able to get all of those questions answered. And so one of your questions should be, when does the position start? Like, what's my official start date? How soon do I need to arrive to start that? Can I come a couple days early? Can I come a week early? If I do come early, do I pay from a site at that time, etc.? And also, not all positions will provide an RV site. With some employers, they don't provide an RV site. You just have to find an RV site for yourself in the local area. And with those types of positions, you definitely want to get on those sooner than later. So, you know, as many of you maybe know or maybe don't know, you know, camping is so huge right now. And so campgrounds were super full. Things have been very busy the last couple summer seasons at campgrounds and RV parks, tourist locations, etc. People want to be outside now. So reservations fill up quick. So if you're, you know, wanting to be in a specific place for a specific period of time, it's getting harder to find campsites unless you're reserving, you know, 4 to 6 to 8 months in advance. You know, January 1 hits, you better be on, you know, recreation.gov reserving those state park places if you want to be there on a weekend. So my point is, the positions that don't provide an RV site that's there, you may have a harder time finding a long-term site in that area. So you'll want to get on that as soon as possible so you're assured to have an RV site near to where that job is that you want to have. And it's very few employers that don't have some sort of RV site connection or provide an RV site, but there are a few out there. Amazon Camper Force is one. That's a pretty popular income opportunity for the winter months. A lot of folks like doing that like November, December, and then they take the rest of the winter off because it's a pretty good chunk of change in your pocket. So with Camper Force now, they don't have campgrounds that they're working with anymore. You have to find a camping, somewhere to camp yourself in that local area. So you got to do the legwork there. So, all right, so when you show up for a work camping job is totally dependent on that work camping job, and you and that employer need to arrange that. All right. All right, just some general advice for newbies. Don't be scared. Oh, no. Work camping is super awesome, and there's been some changes in the work camping community. There are, of course, younger folks coming into this lifestyle, but typically, you know, work camping is still for folks who are 55 and over. That's still the largest part of work campers in general. And so a lot of you guys are looking at work camping as something you're doing when you retire, or, you know, for a change in your life, etc. And so that's super exciting. I don't really believe in retiring and going and sitting in a rocking chair and just letting the days go by. You know, there's so much that you guys, we still have to give. And like my dad always says, when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're rot. So get out there and try new things. And work camping is a great way to do that. There's such a variety of opportunities out there and places to go and people you're going to meet. And so dig in and try out some things maybe you never thought you'd do before. If you always, you know, thought it was fun going to amusement parks, maybe you should try working at one for the summer and spend the whole summer there, you know. It can be really fun and hectic, but interesting. So just be open to things. Be flexible, but also be cautious. So when you're considering these work camping positions, again, we talked a little bit about, you know, doing your due diligence ahead of time. Make sure you're reading whatever reviews you can find on employers. Try to connect with other work campers who've worked there in the past, and we have the tools to help you do that here at Workcamper News. Read the Google, Yelp, any other reviews you can find online. Try to get all your questions answered ahead of time. We also recommend getting a work agreement. And so that's just a little written up agreement between you and the employer that lays out things like start and end dates, compensation, when compensation and how it'll be paid, kind of duties, just expectations. So then this way, hopefully both you and the employer are going into things on the same page. Then when you're at that work camping position, if things are not going as expected, you can then take that work camper agreement, go to your manager, owner, whoever you need to report to, and say, look, things aren't going as expected. We'd really like to have some communication about that. And so then hopefully you can sit down with management, have that work agreement, be like, look, this is what we agreed to, this is what's happening. And then if you can be flexible, if you can make some compromises, hopefully together you could work together to determine what the compromises might be and set a date as to when those changes should have happened. And then when you get to that date, if things have changed and you're good, keep on keeping on. If they're not fulfilling their end of the bargain, then you have that choice whether to keep trying or to move on and find a different opportunity elsewhere. But at least then you can say you tried. So we recommend getting that work agreement. Again, it's just another communication tool. Because typically if work campers have a negative experience, oftentimes it was due to a lack of communication somewhere, whether it was beforehand, just lack of communication, lack of getting the information needed, or something occurred later on at the job. And things happen, ownership changes, management changes, things can happen. So going back to when we talked about before, applying for jobs maybe 6 months or more before that start date, try to stay in communication with that employer during that waiting time before starting that job. You don't want to drive hundreds of miles to that work camping opportunity to find out ownership changed and they're not hiring work campers anymore or something like that. That would certainly not be good. So we encourage the employers to communicate with work campers as well, but I encourage you as the work camper, keep in touch with that employer. Just think of little questions to say, to ask them or whatever. Just, hey, checking in to see how things are going, making sure we're still on the same page and looking forward to seeing you, etc. So, try to remember to do some check-ins before heading off to that work camping opportunity. Again, just whatever we can do to eliminate surprises, we want to do, okay? And as far as work agreements goes, we do have an example of the work agreement on our website. I also have a video in our media library where I talk for like an hour and a half about specifics of Workamper work agreement, what should be on it, what questions to ask, things like that. So that's available in our media library, and the sample work agreement you can find on our job resources page. All right. What is the best way to get started? And I think we've kind of answered this as we've gone along today, but Workcamper News really is where it's at. And obviously I'm biased, but we're here to help you guys. And that is what we do and what we love to do. So our purpose is to get you guys as educated as possible, have the most resources as possible, so you can be as successful as possible at this whole work camping thing. So we've got videos, online courses, articles, we've got our podcast, we've got our magazine, so educational resources to boot. You can connect with fellow work campers. So we have a member map that we have, which I think is really cool. So you can put yourself on the member map, see if any fellow work camper members are nearby. You could try to connect with them, maybe go grab lunch or a coffee and just try to pick their brain. Also, you can use the member map if you're like, I really want to go work at, Bolin Travel Centers in New Mexico. So you would search, that part of New Mexico, see if any work campers are there, contact them and be like, hey, I see you're in Taos, New Mexico. Do you happen to be working at Bolin Travel Center? And they might be like, yeah, totally. Do you want to talk about it? And then you can research then that employer via finding work campers that might be working at those locations. And then going back to the job listings, like I said, from our hotline, you can click right to our Workcamper experiences section. So that's kind of like an employer review section where work campers who've worked for XYZ employer have gone in and written a little bit about what it was like working for that employer. And just like reviews anywhere, some reviews are super helpful and some are, nearly worthless. That's just kind of how that system goes. But the Workcamper Experiences tool has been compiling reviews since 2007, so lots of information in there. We have a Praise Your Employer tool as well. So that's just a little award system. If you had a positive experience with an employer, you can give them a star award. And as a researching work camper, you can go in that tool and see if the work camper shared their email address with that star award. Then you can click to email that work camper and say, hey, I see you worked for ABC Campground. Can I ask you some questions? So again, we're just trying to connect you guys together because you can certainly learn a lot from each other. And then of course, our job listings, whether it's our hotline system, our magazine, which we physically print and mail, or it's online. Our online magazine, there's over 90 issues in there. We're up to 200 and some issues, though. We've been publishing that since 1987. And yeah, lots of stuff to get into on our website. So hopefully you feel prepared to know what to do, how to do, when to do it, and the resources to help you get there. We're not an agency. We don't place work campers in jobs. We don't know which employers hire which work campers, etc. So we're not like an agency in that regard. We're just a connection and education tool, okay? And there are other resources you can utilize out there on the internet. A lot of our members that utilize our service also just kind of follow some of the other websites out there, but we're gonna have the most secure service and also the most job listings that you'll find anywhere, and a better ability to kind of customize the job listings, like I said, with our job alerts. And we're also in the works right now. This year, we're working on a complete rebuild of our back end and front end systems. So our goal is by the end of 2022, maybe early 2023, we're gonna have a completely updated website and app. We don't have an app right now, but our website does work on mobile, tablet, smartphone, laptop, etc. Our website will work on all of those types of devices, but we do plan on having an app as well, and way more robust job listing searches and kind of some more done for you stuff. So, but that's coming, that's in the works, and we're really looking forward to that. But with Workcamper News, you can be assured that we're a service that's always working to do things better for you guys. I know there's some other entities that are out there online, but their websites haven't changed in 20 years. And like I said, are filled with affiliate stuff and other ways to, you know, because they're trying to make money from affiliate things, and that's cool. Do what you want to do. But we are focused on serving our customers, which are work campers and employers. And it's been a pleasure to do that all this time. So, all right. Let's get into, looks like we've got a few more questions coming in here, because that was the last. I've gone through all the pre-submitted questions. So I'll go ahead and hit on a couple questions here that have come in. Okay. Thanks, sorry. Okay, do you have guidance on writing a resume? So yes, so we have at workcamper.com, when you become a member, and like I said, there's a free trial available. If you just want to do the diamond trial for 30 days, you can get in on that. When you go through the join process, that's the kind of the first thing it offers you. So you can check that out. In our media library, we have a bunch of videos. And so there are a couple of videos on resumes there. In our article index, we have a job finding section, and so lots of articles there on resumes. And then also going through issues of our magazine, we've hit on resumes a few times on some articles there. And yeah, I believe I did do a podcast episode, so if you hop over to workcampershow.com and use the search function on resume, you should be able to find that in there. Yeah. So definitely some resources out there. Like I said, in the resume builder itself, there is a sample you can model off of. So we do try to make it pretty easy for you guys to get that going and working for you. We do have a YouTube channel as well. So if you search Workcamper News on YouTube, you'll find our channel. We don't do a whole lot of video. It's just, I just don't have enough time in the day, guys. I'm sorry. But we hope to do more in the future. But we do things, some employers do what's called jobinars. And so you'll see some jobinars on there where an employer came on to give you all the details about their job and answer questions. So there's some recorded jobinars on there. We've answered a lot of frequently asked questions with some videos on our YouTube channel. And I show off each new magazine, each new magazine issue that comes available. We make a video about that. So you can find some good content there on our YouTube channel, but the more educational, the real focused on work camping topics, that'll be in the media library at workcamper.com, because that information we do reserve for our members. All right, how long is the free trial available? It's a 30-day free trial. So when you go through the join process, it'll activate that diamond membership for 30 days. And at the end of the 30 days, if you don't turn off the auto renew setting, it will auto renew you for $47 for 1 year. And about 80% of folks who are doing the trial are moving into becoming yearly members, because once you get in that first 30 days, you start getting the job listings, you can get into your resume, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And so most folks just like to continue and keep the connection and keep that going. But you are welcome to do the 30-day trial and just turn off that auto renew setting. Maybe you're a few years out from work camping, you're just not ready to totally dive in yet. That's totally cool. You can just turn off that auto renew setting. You'll be reverted back to what we call our intro status. You can still log into our website, look at a few things. You can look at like one issue of our magazine and some other resources page. You can turn the hotline back on if you want, but the job listings are going to be delayed. Okay, so only our Diamond and Platinum members get to see the current and full job listings. So definitely check that out. All right, pictures on the resume, yes or no? That's up to you. It's technically not illegal for employers to ask for photos. It's kind of frowned upon, but it's not illegal. So with work camping, typically you guys are applying for with an employer that's hundreds, if not 1,000 miles away. So the one-on-one in-person interview is not likely going to happen. So oftentimes that's why the employers are requesting photos. And you should totally try and find photos from that employer as well. If they don't have a good website, if you're not able to find much online, especially if it's maybe like an RV park or something like that, you know, it's totally good for you to ask for photos too. Please send me a picture of what the RV site looks like, maybe a few pictures of my work environment, etc., so I can get an idea of if this is going to work for me or not. So don't be afraid for you guys to ask for photos too. So getting back to photos for a resume, if you don't include photos, that's fine, but anticipate that the employer may request that you come in for an in-person interview, or at least do like a FaceTime webcam online interview. Because they'll want to see, you know, how you speak, kind of what your mannerisms are, see that you're a real person, etc. If you are up for including photos on your resume, what I recommend is like a headshot, so like shoulders and head, then a full body shot, maybe standing in front of your RV, and then a photo of your full RV setup. So if you're a truck and trailer, try to get all of that in the photo. If you're a motorhome with a towed car, try and get all of that in the photo, etc. Just so the employer can anticipate what you'll be arriving in. And that just also helps them know, oh, I see they have a truck, a trailer, another vehicle, and a trailer with some motorcycles. That's kind of a lot. I don't know that that's going to work on our RV sites. And so that's going to bring up stuff, again, hopefully eliminating surprises. So it's just hopefully going to end up being more of a match in the long run. If you are a couple, two-person team family, with Workcamper News, you just need one membership, and typically you just need one resume. If you're all going to be applying to work for the same employer, usually you can just send that one resume. It outlines, you know, Steve's skills, it outlines Sally's skills, and both on the same resume, and that typically works just fine. Let's see, trying to think. I had another thought, but then it completely bounced out of my brain. So yeah, photos on your resume, up to you, but try to, if you are, maybe you are a two-person household, but only one of you is wanting to do the work camping job because maybe the other person is not wanting to work, not able to work, or doing maybe a work out of the RV situation. Create your resume geared towards the person who is applying for the positions. Then in the text part of your resume, indicate, I travel with this other person. This other person will be, you know, with me or won't be with me, because I know some folks, you know, one goes off and work camps while the other stays home. That's cool. But if you are going to have other people in the RV with you, just mention it. Don't include them in photos. Don't list them on the resume as if they are another applicant, because that can be confusing to the employer. So you definitely want to mention it, because the employer needs to know they're going to be with you and be around, but don't like advertise them in your resume, if that makes sense. All right, guys. Well, we've been at this for an hour or so. Really great questions that came in, and I love answering these questions for you guys, and hopefully this gave you a lot of good information to get started. Again, we're here to chatter all day long about work camping, not just give you little snippets here and there. So I will always overwhelm you with information as much as I can. So if you'd like to join us, we're going to do this again next month. So please follow our social media, Workcamper News on Facebook or Instagram. Again, join our website as well to get updates. I always post about it in our hotline email and stuff. So hopefully we'll see you on a future webinar. Hopefully you'll become a member of Workcamper.com so we can help you that way. And yeah, feel free to contact us with questions, and hopefully you will be another successful work camper out there enjoying the RV lifestyle and this beautiful country that we are blessed to live in. So thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate your time and consideration, and happy work camping.